don't care who you are, who you think you are, like, who you think you know. If you're doing something wrong, you're going to jail.
Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force. The grant will be used to train law enforcement in recognizing and identifying children who are being victimized through human trafficking.
To help combat human trafficking, which happens in the shadows, behind closed doors, and to help law enforcement investigate these cases, prosecute these cases, and provide services to the victims.
California is amongst the top 3 states for human trafficking. If you may know a victim or want to report suspicious behavior, you can call the national hotline at 888-373-7888.
Like Matt said, Ryan's projecting.
Projecting what? Yeah, I don't. That projecting. He's such an idiot.
Seems like he projects.
What I want to talk about is the internal threat. And the insider threat can be both either malicious or unintentional. We can be our own worst enemy. When we look at the threat, there can be that internal malicious. And we've had many of those things. When I was a federal prosecutor, we had a case.
You could say, I don't want access, I want to terminate that account and take down the stuff that I put up.
I will put him on the text, and I will expect him to go into it, and I will expect him to print or write down who he speaks with and any response he gets from SoundCloud, at least a verification show that he's tried it.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Well, yeah, but for us, we don't.
I just want to take it down. I just don't want him to be violated for something he said.
Steve Madison has sex with puppies, and we just don't want that out there. And by the way, that's an example.
Okay. But like I don't have sex. Like I said, I just don't want to set him on the stage, right? I don't want to make.
That's why AG is attacking you, because they don't want to know. Matt basically told me, he's like, we don't want to know about this. Yeah, he like changed his number. He's like, don't give Ryan my direct line.
Dude.
Like, I'll have Ryan come visit you. He's like, don't bring him. Don't have him come here. He's like,
fuck him. An accessory to prostitution, pandering, and money laundering. Bullshit, he's letting rich scumbags live there and turn girls into prostitutes.
oh, the sex scholarships?
But yeah, the sex scholarship was the last day I was there.
The sex scholarship?
And I lied to him. And I'm like, dude, he's so fucking delusional. Like, we were in the kitchen that Sunday, and I lied to him. I was like, oh, that was what's her name. I was trying not to tell him. He's like, do you have her number? I'm like, no.
All of this shit actually sounds really true. Well, the first thing they'll say is this feasible, and then the second thing they'll say is like, it's like the underbelly of the rich residents, like high stakes real estate at high risk, corporate greed, and like, Joey's kind of like taking the blame for it too. It's like, just like.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just
like all these people, and they're all scumbags. And I told Joey too. I told him, I was like, remember I told you, like, he like verbally attacked me in valet, and I told you, who is this guy? And you were like, oh, he knows Nancy Pelosi, he's connected, it's okay, he's just drunk. And Jory's like, fuck. Jory's like, oh, I had such a bad lapse of judgment. And I was like, I told you. He's like, oh. I can't even like talk about like one thing without like going into like, you have to talk about it, because okay, well, this guy's a money launderer and he launders for him, and he also avoids taxes for Dr. Rick. Like, the whole thing is like they're all going to jail. Like, they're like, oh, he seems vindictive, he seems like he's projecting, da-da-da. I'm like, no, I told him, like, the congressman, I explained to Matt in detail, I'm like, the congressman's email is on that fucking business plan to do medical marijuana investment. They use the congressman to invest medical marijuana because they have connections with law enforcement. Like, this is, I'm like, and Matt was like, oh, well, that's going to be a good business. I'm like, well, and he was like, well, I'm like, they use the, I'm like, I've seen the emails, like, they're on business plans, they're like leveraging like government and state officials. Like, dude, the sheriffs, like, this goes all the way to like the sheriffs of the county that were name dropped in the emails. Like, this isn't,
I know.
This is a full, this is like a real thing. Like, my cousin's the deputy DA of New York, but he could like Like, he could probably help launch a full-on investigation.
What I'm telling you right now is that Jory's Ritz-Carlton contacts have no credibility right now. And if you prove credibility, then you'll actually vindicate Jory. And then they'll do whatever he says. Because right now they'll do whatever he says as long as they know you've never been to the Ritz-Carlton.
That's true.
But if you've been to the Ritz-Carlton and you're associated with Jory, they'll be like,
And your name for the record?
I'm sorry, Steve Madison of Quinn Emanuel on behalf of several of the victims, actually Morgan Stanley and AEG principally.
Furthermore, I believe that the victim's attorney can inform the court of the defendant's compliance with the social media aspect of this provision.
Thank you.
That's correct, Your Honor. We're pleased with the current state of affairs.
Very well. That's noted for the record.
The FBI guy and all that. So as far as I'm not going to get my guy. His guy, Secretary of Agriculture. Blah, 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 right?
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. We just got
What I felt disrespected that you would.
I see.
I'd have these pretty girls come over, and then you would kind of trump me, and then also do something I thought was over the line, you know. But
I see.
But
that's fair. That's a fair statement. That I mean, well, I didn't do the things that you claim about specifically offering them money for sex, but I was probably, I mean, you know, like we all are. We're human, right? You know, I like pretty girls.
I don't think you were malicious, though. I don't think you were trying to be. But I mean, but I mean,
selfish,
Adela,
probably, and not thinking.
But those two girls,
I swear to you, Ryan,
but they told me you offered them money, and then you offered that other girl a scholarship. But it doesn't matter. It's.
But Ryan, let me explain those. I swear. I didn't offer them money for sex. They needed money. They were saying they needed money. I don't know why she would tell you that I offered. Ryan, with all due respect, I know that that's not right to do, and I have more self-esteem than to do that. I mean, but I had money and I offered to be helpful to them. I think I offered, I think that Adela's girlfriend wanted me to introduce her to someone in music or something. I mean, I vaguely remember who they were. It was so many years ago, but I swear, you know, but in retrospect, Ryan, I should have been more respectful to your friends.